Hey fish friends, Zenzo, which is Awa Tanks, back with another video. Okay, back by popular demand. Super feeding, making your African cichlids grow quickly. I was looking at the analytics on YouTube for my channel, and this happened to be this subject actually, the video that I made a month ago or so, actually happened to be the most viewed during that time period. So I thought, you know, it's been exactly a month since I filmed that video, so why not make part two and kind of give you guys an update. If you look in the tank behind me, all the fish are hiding behind all the rock work. It's because of my lighting right now. So they were swimming, you know, in front of the tank in a crazy manner, thinking I was going to feed them. Then all of a sudden I turned the light on and they just vanished. So it's a very bright light. But anyway, this video is just going to kind of take you through my experiences with super feeding and how I've kind of, you know, gone through the process of feeding the fish and, you know, making sure that the tank has been properly filtered. I'm doing adequate water changes, etc. So I hope you find it useful, and please enjoy. Okay, so we are back at the Malawi Grow Out tank. It has been exactly 1 month since the last time I filmed this tank and talked about this subject, which is growing your African cichlids quickly by super feeding. So one of the things that happens when you are looking at your fish on a daily basis, especially if you're anticipating growth, etc., it's kind of like the old adage, you know, watched pot never boils. It's kind of the same thing. If you look at your fish every day and you're looking to find results, you're not really going to see those because they're growing at a very, you know, marginal rate, and you're not seeing it day to day. What I can say though is when I've gone back and looked at video footage that I filmed of these fish previously and photos that I've taken, I do see a significant increase in size. The other thing that I've done, I haven't taken a tape measure or a ruler and put it up against the tank because that just kind of scares the fish away, but I do use my finger and my hands to kind of measure the length of the fish. And obviously when I walk up next to the tank, the fish think that they're going to get fed, so they are, you know, very quick to stay in front of the glass right in front of me, so I can kind of get an estimate on their size growth. So it has been pretty significant. Some of these fish, and you can see in the video, and I'll put a link to the first video that I made on this tank down below in the description, so that you can see for yourself. But some of these fish have grown pretty significantly, and you know, I attribute that to a couple of things. One, very good water quality. So as I shared in the first video, I do very frequent water changes on this tank, and I also did some other videos on this tank. One of them being the overfiltration video. But so if you've seen that video, you know that I am totally over filtering this tank. I've got 5 different filters on this tank, ranging from a wet dry sump to a canister filter to a biological hang on the back filter with lava rock and a pothos plant to sponge filters, etc. So it's not always going to have that much filtration. Eventually I'm going to cut it down to 3, but during this time period, this is what I've been doing. The other thing is that I'm doing water changes about every 2 or 3 days. So today is Thursday. The last water change that I did was Monday afternoon, so you know, 2 days in between, and that's about as long as I'm going between water changes. So really they're getting, you know, 2 water changes in 4 days, etc. You know, that really helps to remove any hormones that the fish may have released in the water that may inhibit growth. It also ensures that you are removing any higher levels of nitrates, and that you don't have any ammonia or nitrites in the water, which also helps with the fish health. Also, when you're super feeding, you know, you have a lot of waste. So one, the fish are eating a lot, which means that they're also pooping a lot. And so you need to make sure that you're doing high water changes when you're using this method to ensure that you're removing any, you know, any dissolved matters and any waste that's in the tank. With the super feeding, as I shared in the first video, I used a variety and am using a variety of different foods. The reason, well, a couple of reasons. One, well, a few, I guess. One, because it's fun. You know, it's fun as a fish hobbyist. You know, you want to enjoy the hobby, and sometimes it's fun when you give your fish different types of food. They certainly enjoy it. It's not necessary. You know, I don't give my dog different kinds of food. He has the same dog food every day, twice a day, and it doesn't change. Every once in a while he gets treats and bones, but for the most part he eats the same dried dog food. And you can say the same for your fish. You know, you could give them the very same quality cichlid pellets or veggie pellets, etc., and they'd be just fine. But I do feel that a varied diet is helpful, especially when you're trying to get these results. Because it's a mixture of Mbuna and Malawi, I am doing a mixture of, sometimes I'll do like a protein pellet, like a cichlid pellet from Northfin. Sometimes I'm using the veggie pellet from Northfin, which is more vegetable based. I'm also using spirulina flakes in between. And I am also, I was doing a little bit of Hikari spirulina pellets, but also I'm using some shrimp. So I'm using some brine shrimp, frozen brine shrimp, or some mysis shrimp. And I'm using that mostly because it acts like not a laxative, but almost like when we, you know, eat fiber. So when we have, you know, salads and vegetables that are, you know, cruciferous and high in cellulose, like celery, etc., you know, that's good for our system. And the same is good for, you know, these fish to, you know, sometimes have vegetable matter, which I do give them. Like for example, I feed them zucchini, but also the brine shrimp and the mysis shrimp kind of does the same thing, because they do have their, you know, the exoskeleton that kind of acts as roughage and kind of helps to clean the fish out. So, you know, that kind of eliminates, you know, concern with blockage and bloat and things like that. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm not feeding them a lot at any particular time. So in super feeding, what I'm doing is I'm feeding them multiple times per day so that they are continually fed. But I'm also feeding them very small amounts. So I'm feeding this tank 3 or 4 times per day, and in small amounts, but that equals, you know, a large amount of food when you know, that's all added up. Their bellies look a little full right now because I just fed them, and you can see the water's a little cloudy, so they will not get fed for several hours. I might give them a little bit of brine shrimp at the end of the evening, but they've already had 3 meals today actually, so they might be done. So anyway, that's about it on the update. The fish are growing very quickly. I did get a chance, I do have some other fish in the basement down below in my fish room, which, if you've seen some of my other videos and some that I've loaded recently. And some of those fish are the same size as what these fish were when I purchased them. So again, really pleased with the results. And because they are growing so quickly, and because I need to move some fish around, particularly my 75-gallon tank needs to get rearranged, and I need to move the Mbuna out of there and put them in this tank, and move these peacocks and haps into that tank. So in the coming weeks, I'm probably going to do that. So once I feel that these fish are of adequate size and can handle being in the other tank, then I will make those moves. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and the update on my grow out tank here, and the super feeding process, and, you know, kind of my experiences with growing these fish quickly. Please like, please subscribe. Love to read your comments. I try to respond to all of them, and I appreciate your feedback.